Hello, good afternoon to you. How are you doing today? Happy Tuesday. It is a couple days before that full moon. Hope everybody's getting ready, or hopefully, well, it's in Virgo, I believe, so everybody can be like getting ready to like organize or let go of things. Clean a closet maybe, right? Today we have Maggie Wilson joining us, and she is the creator of the Metaphysical Cannabis Oracle, and I see her popping up on now, so let's get her going. Let's see. Request here. There we go. I think you got it. Yes. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good morning.
Good morning. I absolutely love your hair
Thank
and the
you.
dimensional colors that come from it. It is so gorgeous.
Why, thank you. I like to keep it interesting. It's always changing, so I can't help
Ooh,
it.
I like that. I like it ever
Yeah,
changing.
just like to kind of keep it just something interesting all the time. So, and I'm lucky because it hasn't fell out yet. So that's a plus,
Hey.
right? I'll take it. I'll take it. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful sunny day in California, so it's not bad.
Warm. Is it warm? Tell me it's warm. Are you
It's
nice warm
definitely
weather?
warm.
Oh, good, good.
It's been like this morning it was a little chilly, and when I say chilly, it's nothing like the East Coast. It's like
No.
55 in the morning
Oh
and it's
my
like,
gosh.
ooh, ooh,
Right. I'm like in shorts at that point. I'm like,
right.
yes, we're getting there. Not quite yet. We just got like, I don't even know, a foot of snow the other day. And I'm just
Ooh.
like, no, I don't like any of this. Please go away. I'm done. I'm over it. I don't know why I live in a place where I go outside and it hurts my face. Like, that
I was
sounds
that
right.
way. I did the same thing. I lived in Colorado for
Oh,
five
yes,
years
you
and I
did.
was
That's
like,
right.
oh, I don't like this. I
I
want it
don't
to
like
be warm.
cold. Right. I'm a baby and I just don't like it. I don't. All right, so let me introduce you and we'll get going here. So, welcome everybody here today at the Cartomancer magazine. And today, like I said, we have Maggie Wilson, and she is, tell you a little bit about her. She was honored as one of the 100 women who inspire by the spiritual community by Diviner Lifestyle magazine, and she was featured in Forms as an inspiration, a role model for others to emulate. And Maggie is also the CMO and creative director for Fruit Slabs, California's first kosher, certified and vegan edible. And she's also a writer for Union Square, which is a part of Sterling, right? And
Hmm.
Liminal 11. And she is just created the Metaphysical Cannabis Oracle, which I'm very excited about. I was like, I was like looking online to see if I could find some more pictures. It's like on lockdown. I found a couple,
Yeah,
but
it's
I'm
on
like, oh,
lockdown. It's so like mysterious and I mean
it is.
it's so wonderful because like the whole, like when you're the author, when you're the writer, and then you have the publishing companies that are like, they have their marketing set out for almost, next year basically.
Right.
So they've had this like in their pipeline. And I mean, even for me, like the pipeline is so big that no one was like, "Hey Maggie, by the way, your deck's available for pre-order now." So
Right.
like I periodically just checked online and like I would go to the Union Square website and I went to
Mhm.
it one day and I was like, "Ooh, the buy now button's there." So I clicked on it and then it said like pre-order and I was like, "Yay,
Woo!
okay."
Yeah.
But I didn't actually believe that it was available until one of my friends sent me a screenshot and was like, "Oh my God, I
Oh,
just
crap.
bought your deck." And I was like,
That's amazing.
"Ah!"
Yay! I'm so excited for you. That's so awesome. Oh my
It's so
gosh.
exciting.
That is so exciting. And so, how did this deck come about from? I usually start somewhere else, but I really want to talk about this deck because I'm excited about it. So, we're going to start here. And yes, because I make the rules here, okay?
That's right.
So, I would love to know, how did this all come up for you? Like, how did you decide you were going to make an oracle deck?
So I was living in Colorado and I didn't really have any friends because I'd moved from Tennessee where I was like born. I wasn't born there, but I was raised there. So
Got
I
it.
moved to Colorado and I started working on the event side of the cannabis industry with a
Mhm.
wedding, like a wedding event guide. So basically, if you wanted to have a wedding and you wanted to have upscale cannabis at your wedding, you would contact us and we would like send you to vendors so that,
Yeah.
because it's in 2015, it was really hard to
I was gonna
find
say, yeah.
people
Oh my gosh.
who were like accepting of it. So we would
Yeah.
even go to like wedding trade shows and try to talk to people about like, this is this new thing. People are going to be doing this. People are
Right.
going to incorporate cannabis into their wedding. We were like, over $8 million is spent in California alone on alcohol just for weddings in 1 year. So we
Wow.
know, like, we
Yeah.
knew that, cannabis is going to have this type of, it's going to be a new avenue.
Sure.
So for me, I learned how to like do events. So I was like,
Mhm.
well, I don't have any friends. I'm going to start doing women's events.
That is the best way ever to do it. That's
Right.
so smart.
Right. I was like, well, I know what I like to do and I know what I like to teach and I know that I can teach these things. So I'm just going to start teaching about these things and the women that show up are going to be the ones that show up and we're just going to, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
So when I had my first event, it was in Denver, Colorado, and then I did like 5 subsequent ones in Boulder. And like the space of Boulder, the energy of Boulder is just magnificent. And my first event that was in Boulder, I had this epiphany at the beginning, and I was like, man, I really wish I had a custom oracle deck that I could give to the women coming in, and they get a card, and that's their medicine that they need for this workshop. And
Oh.
they work with that card. But there was nothing that I really could find that,
Mhm.
I was like, I think I just made this up. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, so
Right.
I have to make this deck because
Yeah.
this isn't something that is available right now. So like, I put it into a Google sheet and like was like, okay, this is the manifestation practice. This is the action. Here it
Right.
is.
Right. Put it
It's
in.
in
Make
the
it
Google
real.
sheet.
Yes.
And it sat there and it sat there for I started it in 2017
Okay.
and it just sat there and sat there and sat there and I went through my events and I did them all and then like the pandemic happened and I moved to California and I had moved to California and I had one of my Reiki clients reach out to me and was like, there is someone who's looking to make a deck about cannabis and I think that you would be the perfect person. And they literally were like, it was the most humbling, beautiful experience I've ever had with a
So
client
awesome.
because they were like, they were working in the cannabis space too and they were
Okay.
writing books and they had like a weekly column or a monthly column with a cannabis magazine and
Wow.
they were like, I'm going to step away from this space. I'm moving a little bit away from cannabis, but I want this book to be done by a woman of color. And I was like,
Oh my gosh, like that's so exciting. You're like,
right.
wait,
I was like, what?
me?
I was like, oh my God. And of course I emailed her back immediately and I was like, I already have this deck created like in the Google sheet from 2017. And she
I
was like,
love it.
of course you do.
You put it in Google
So
Sheet, it's gotta
it,
happen.
I swear, I think that the internet and technology is really a great manifestation
Oh
tool
my gosh,
because
absolutely.
that's how you get the action. Like put it
Yep,
in a doc, put it in a Google sheet,
absolutely. Just
send that
stick it out there,
email.
random tweet. There it goes, and all of a sudden comes
How
back,
exactly how many
right?
celebrities have we seen that they tweeted something 4 years ago and then they're there and then they're doing it? Like
Yeah,
it's real. You put it out there, it's so real. So that's what I
totally.
did. And I pitched it and they loved it. And I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. And I, dove into more research. My life is just, I love researching the esoteric. Like
Hmm.
this,
I hear
you
you.
know,
I'm right there with you.
yeah, like I grew up my mom raised me as a Jehovah's Witness, and by 12 years old, I was like, you guys, I don't think I'm gonna leave.
Like I'm not vibing with any of you.
I was like, if they're not nice to me and they say I'm the only one that can talk to them and I can't talk to anybody else, like, first of all, this is a cult, and two, can I leave?
Yes. Right, right. Oh my gosh. I
And
totally relate to that too.
thank goodness I had a very, like, I like to say that my mom was more spiritually sound than she was religiously sound.
Hmm.
So she was like, absolutely, you can leave if this doesn't feel right for you. Like,
Oh,
you
good.
can study and you can, because that's what she did at 16 years old, is she started studying religion. And, by the time she was 44 and she had adopted me, she was like, okay, this is the one that resonates with me the most. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, great. And the freedom to be able to find that like spiritual center for me at such a young age really propelled me into wanting to learn about the mystical and like the esoteric side of things. My only like the only proclivity like that she said, you cannot bring anything in the house that's of the devil. So I wasn't even
Oh,
allowed to have tarot cards.
right, right.
So now being able to make something that I wasn't even allowed to have as a child because of the religious framework that I was
Hmm.
raised in is just like, I created it for those people and for every single person that's felt like they've been excluded from some type of spiritual practice or their own like path and journey because of the things that are around them that they can't control. Because when we're children, like we can't control what our parents, you know, kind of indoctrinate us
Right.
into.
No, I mean, we don't
So
know any better at that point, right?
right. And we're so impressionable. And how many of us are just trying, I mean, all of us are just trying to heal our inner child to
Right.
be a functioning
I
adult in
know.
the human experience.
Right, right. And it is, it's such a like weird thing to even say. Like we have to heal our child to be, a functioning adult basically.
Right.
But, and I'm hoping though, now that we're all more aware that we can kind of, put that onto our kids. Like, no, you
Yeah.
can make these decisions and this it's not all black and white. It's not all in this little box. Like you can
Right.
dip your toe out whenever you feel like it. And I think too, it's important for parents to let their kids know that if they have questions, that the parent is a safe space to ask those questions to.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of kids, I just know, even when I was younger, I mean, I left home when I was 14. So I was home out of my house, for a long time now, but I didn't have anybody to ask those questions to. And then some of those
Right.
people weren't really the best people either to ask those questions, or they were a little sketchy. And you're just like, so,
Right.
you had to learn a lesson that way, unfortunately. But I think it's awesome that your mom was there. Like, yeah, you can learn about all these things. And, she set her boundaries. So we have to respect
Right.
that. But
Because,
so when did you finally get a tarot deck? Like, when did you finally pick it up and like try to start learning it and getting going with it?
my first tarot deck was given to me by my Reiki master. Like
Oh,
she gave me Reiki. Like it was so funny. I came to the tarot after Reiki. So I feel like Reiki really like propelled a lot of these things to come in because it's like I finally got into an alignment with
mhm.
myself and not only like I had a Reiki session and she drew tarot cards for me. And like what I was seeing in my mind's eye is what cards she drew. So I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
this is like the crystals that I like. And this is
Mhm.
just like the other things that I work with that have a consciousness that
Mhm.
work back with me as well. So my first deck was the standard Rider Waite deck with the like blue patchwork, like the
Mhm.
standard blue
Yep,
patchwork color on the
that
back.
was mine too.
And I still have it and I
Yep.
love it. And it basically was like my first tarot friend. And that's what I
Yeah.
see them as is they're like our cards are our friends and they want
Mhm.
to work with us. They're just like our crystals. They love when we pick them up. They love
Yes.
when we ask them for guidance. And that's why I created this deck was to be like, I want all these things that we deal with on a daily basis and these tools that we can use, like have our
Mhm.
little toolbox, have that
Yeah.
be our friends and have it be just blatantly obvious. Like you need to go sit down and be quiet for an hour.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
really, like because a lot of the times we come to the cards and we want an answer and we're just looking for the answer that's really inside of us, but we want that validation from something outside of us. So I
Right.
wanted to create this deck to be like, you know what? This deck is a reflection of you, and it works with you because you are the catalyst. You are the co-creator. So
Mhm.
it was
I
so
love that.
much fun.
Yeah,
And like
that's so
even
awesome.
my kids are drawn into the deck. Like I have two children and
Okay.
they are represented in the deck as
Oh,
cards.
yay.
And like, for me, I was like, my first deck was the Rider Waite deck. And how many hundreds of years has this deck been around now? Like
Right.
for a really, really long time.
Really a
So
long time. Right.
Lord willing and printing presses willing,
Yes.
our deck will be around for a long time.
That is so awesome. Oh my gosh. So, how old are your kids?
My son just turned 11 yesterday,
Oh,
and my daughter turned 7 at the end of the month.
those are fun ages too. So they probably are so excited about this.
Oh, they're so excited. They loved, I mean, Edge, the illustrator for this deck, is really the most incredible woman I've ever worked with. Incredible artist. She turned my words into these beautiful, beautiful creations. I mean, even just the front of the deck is like
Mhm.
that card is the spliff card, and it's the
Okay.
first card in the cannabis suit of the deck. So this deck is not just all cannabis cards
Uh-huh.
like some of the other cannabis decks are. This deck is it's basically like a fusion of an oracle deck and the actual tarot. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
a major arcana,
Hmm.
but it's called the meta arcana, and every card is redrawn to have cannabis incorporated into the card in some way. Like the high priestess card, instead of a pomegranate curtain behind her, she's sitting in front of cannabis leaves that are drying. Like when you cut
Oh,
your cannabis plants and
yeah.
you dry the buds, that's what
Right.
she's sitting in front of.
Oh my God.
So it's all these like aspects of the plant and the plant medicine worked into it. Um, and just, I mean, Edge is an incredible artist. Just the way that it looks, just like, I mean, even just her like sketches of
Right.
like, this is what I think it's going to be like, after I had written it, were incredible. And
Yeah.
she's I would not have been able to do this without her. She really brought the art and the actual creative look of the deck to it, and it's been such an honor to create this with the Liminal team.
Yeah.
They
That's
are
awesome.
incredible,
Oh,
like
that's
absolutely incredible team. So it's
yeah.
been so much fun, and I cannot wait
I know. I can't
to
wait to
get
see
it
it.
in
Like
my
I said, I was
hands.
trying to like see it, and it's like I'm like I can't find anything. I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah,
So
they've
I
got
will
it
be getting it for sure.
really, yeah, absolutely. They've got it
But
really like hidden.
yeah, no, I love it. But that brings it. That makes it more exciting. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like we're just like,
absolutely.
ooh, let's like. I want to see what else is in it. And it is so cool too because I'm creating two decks right now, and it's so crazy to like write and then give that to the artist, and then they come up with this image, and you're just like,
Wow.
oh, look at this. Like, that's pretty cool. And I've even been to her, like, oh, that's really cool how you did that. She's like, Jen, you wrote it in the description. I'm like, oh, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Like it really, I mean, we're always our own worst critic. We're always
Mhm.
hardest on ourselves.
True.
So we're like, oh, I could have written that better, whatever. But then when you see someone else's perception of it and they're just
Yes.
like, wow, this was incredibly written, you're like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, right.
You're like, oh yeah.
Okay.
Like, wow, I did that. I really did
That's
that. And
awesome.
as women, that's hard for us to say and do
It is.
because we're like, we want to
We're
help
like,
everybody else
right.
and we
And we're
don't want to give
conditioned to do
ourselves
that,
credit.
you know, we're conditioned to like just put ourselves aside and help everybody else, and that's it, you know. And
Right.
that's something too that I'm always talking about, like, no, it's okay to do your own thing. It's okay to take time for yourself, you know. I have 4 kids. I have 4 boys.
Oh my
And so I'm like,
God.
if I could do it, then you guys could do it. You know
A
what I mean?
hundred
Like,
percent.
you
A
have to,
hundred percent.
right? It's so important. So now
That's
what, so
incredible.
how is your deck broken up then? Are the suits different? Do you have different names for the suits than the typical cup, swords, wands? Like how is it set
Yes.
up?
Yes, so it's basically set up. So the idea of the oracles is now that every card in the deck is a type of oracle for you. So you have the meta arcana, which is your major arcana, which is a re-envision of all the original major arcana characters and oracles as new cannabis oracles. So they've come into their cannabis plant spirit medicine. So, like Temperance, instead of pouring vases into the water, he's pouring bong water out. Like beautiful, and he's
That's
got
amazing.
beautiful bongs in his hands. So,
Yeah, that's
uh,
amazing. I
right.
love it.
And then it goes like the meta arcana and then the physical suit, which are actionable steps that you can take to like physically put something into action. So there's like
Mhm.
a silent meditation card or a walking meditation card,
Oh,
or there's and now I'm like completely blanking, of course.
of course.
There's like a dance vortex card so that you
Oh,
have
I
to
love
like turn
that.
on music and just let your body process the
Yes,
emotions.
I love it.
There's a gratitude vortex card where you just have to like rampage gratitude to yourself. And like that's the work that you have to do that day is
Mhm.
you just have to be grateful.
Right.
Then it goes into the cannabis suit, and that's different types of ways that you can consume. So they're beautifully illustrated ways of like that front card that you see on the front of the deck is the spliff
Mhm.
card. And
Okay.
I made that card the first card because for where the tarot comes from and our like ancestry of tarot and how important it is that like our European brothers and sisters incorporated tobacco into the cannabis spirit as
Right.
like a companion plant. All
Hmm.
of the cannabis suit is different ways to consume cannabis. And then it also has like a companion plant spirit that you can work with to call upon to amplify the cannabis plant spirit. And
Oh,
then
that's
I
so
know,
fun. I love
right?
that.
It was
Yes.
so fun to make it. Like that's how I know like when you're doing something joyful, it just flows. Um then it goes into the oracle suit, and the oracle suit are actually all African oracles that we know of Mami Wata. We're familiar with Mami Wata, but there are I think either 10 or 11 other African oracles that
Yeah.
I did this like research on that I was like, we don't know who any of these people are. And they're
Right.
fascinating stories, like
They are. I agree.
beautiful stories. So all of those cards are just like beautiful black oracles. And then the last suit is the culture suit because I was like, cannabis for the culture here. So
Yeah.
I tried to incorporate different aspects of people that I knew that I had met
Mhm.
through cannabis, that literally the plant spirit brought to me that I've either friendships with or known because of cannabis, and incorporated them into basically like immortalizing them into the deck. But
Oh,
they're
that's
also
awesome.
actionable things that you have to do. Like one of them, uh, all of the names of the cards are in Yoruba, which is an African language, and
Hmm.
that's where my ancestry comes from. So I wanted
Okay.
to incorporate something that people probably wouldn't know, but that they would be really excited to learn because they're all words that we typically use. Like one of the cards in the culture suit is the songbird card, and you have to sing. Like you have to open your throat chakra
Yeah.
and sing when you get this card. And that is like what the work is for this card. And the card is called Olo Olurun. And that's Yoruba for songbird. So
Oh, I love
it's like
that.
a multifaceted experience. I wanted it to be for like the avid, the varsity tarot user over here,
Hmm.
to also the person who's like, I've never picked up a tarot deck in my life, but this one looks really cool. I think
Right.
I'm gonna get it. I think I'm gonna pick it up and see what it's about. And I think that Edge has done an incredible job of creating that look. Like you said, you're like, I tried to find
Mhm.
so many more pictures, but like those
Right.
few pictures, it's like, oh my God, I want to see the whole deck.
No, it is so like that too. Like I'm just like, come on. I want to see it. That's awesome. And I love that you have so many different ways to work with the deck. So even if somebody isn't, it to me it seems that if somebody isn't super familiar with tarot, they can still pick it up and use it more in that oracle aspect as they're
Yeah,
learning the tarot as well.
exactly. That's
So
exactly what I wanted. It's spot
yeah, and
on.
I love that. Yay! I win. What do I win? You got a lot of good stuff. So
You
I
and a free
gotta
deck.
jump.
I bet Kay will send you. I bet
Yes.
Kay would send you a free deck for sure.
Woohoo! So I was looking on your Fruit Slabs website, and
Mhm.
everything looks so good, and I'm like, okay, all of it. And so, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah.
That's a whole thing, and that website's beautiful too, by the way.
Thank you. That was that's one of my other many talents is creating beautiful websites. So
Yay! See, I'm
um
doing good.
yes, so it's actually really great because one of the cards in the cannabis suit is an edible card, and it's a
Oh, okay.
card that looks like little strips of fruit leather.
Oh my.
So the Fruit Slabs was started in 2015 as
Mm-hmm.
a healthy edible choice because in the California market there were only like cookies and baked goods and
Right.
chocolate, and there wasn't really anything for someone who maybe had diabetes or Lyme disease that had no added sugar. So
Got
the founders of the company created this fruit slab, and it's fruit leather. It's
it. Mm-hmm.
dehydrated mango.
Oh,
So it's like one of the flavors only has two ingredients: mango and cannabis, and that's it. It's like
wow.
the most simplest form of cannabis edible that basically exists. But
Yeah, definitely.
um, it came out of the want and the need for people who use cannabis as medicine to really be able to medicate and have
Mm-hmm.
be able to take a high dosage of milligrams that some people really need without putting a lot of sugar into your body because we
Okay.
know that sugar is inflammatory. So
Exactly.
we're like, how can we help and not start more issues in our body? And Fruits Labs has like we're in our seventh year now.
Yeah.
I came on to be the marketing director and or the marketing officer in
Mm-hmm.
2020, and we really shifted the way we started doing things. We became more inclusive and diverse, and just like we spread out into other states. We're now available in Washington and Oklahoma and Michigan
Okay.
and Missouri soon.
Oh,
And we have
wow.
CBD everywhere. And one of our like our first brick and mortar shop to carry CBD is in New York.
Is it? Where is
Yeah.
it?
It's a place called the Nettle and Rose. And I'd have to look at the city, but it's
Mm-hmm.
right outside. I mean, I'm gonna butcher this because I'm not from New York, but it's one of the like tiny little like I don't want to say suburbs, but it looks like it's a very cute little like it looks like it's in a suburb because it's
Yeah.
such a cute. There's things on each side. There's like actual space on each side and not a
Right.
building beside it. So I was like, okay, this is not in the city.
Nope, not the city. Oh my God. I'll have to look that up though. That's awesome. So I'm actually like upstate New York, like up in the mountains. So that's where I live.
Ooh,
Yeah, I'm
nice.
about 4 hours from New York City.
Okay, that's
So
not
I'm
too
like way
bad.
up. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
but no, that's awesome. And that's such a good idea too, because I know any that I've come across too, they're also covered in sugar. The little
Yeah.
like, and
The
they have
little
sugar.
gummies.
Yeah, and they're like covered and it's like a lot. It's a lot. Like, so that is awesome. And I love that idea, especially like you said, for people who have to watch their sugar intake and all of that. Like that's awesome. That's exciting. So you're like slowly moving towards this way.
Yes, we're slowly slowly inching our
Yes.
way out. The goal is to have, medicine available for everyone. Because like you said, like we don't really need to be intaking sugar if we're trying to work with the plant.
Mhm. Right.
And that was my when I first found Fruit Slabs, I was like having a lot of issues with urinary tract infections, and like,
Mhm.
sugar just definitely helps with
Oh,
that.
aggravates everything of that. Like, oh my God.
Aggravates. So I was trying to figure out not only how to find a meditative practice to work with the plant spirit and not maybe smoke. And that's what a lot of my events was
Okay.
here's how you can work with the cannabis plant spirit in a metaphysical way and not be overstimulated or, have a bad experience, because we know everybody knows someone that's tried an edible and it's been like the worst thing that's ever happened to them because
Right.
they didn't know what was in it, or a multitude of other things.
You
So
were,
my biggest thing was like, I want to educate people about this wonderful plant spirit because
mhm.
it's so much that it can do for us and so many ways that it is versatile. Um, so when the like metaphysical cannabis oracle came to be, I was like, this is beyond, because that's what metaphysical means. Is meta means beyond the physical. So
Right. Right.
creating this deck has really been just like a super exciting channeling experience, because
Yeah.
at one point I was doing research and I, you know, bought every single tarot deck that I could find that was also made by Black women.
Hmm.
And there is an incredible deck that I found. And that's when I read that, like, our cards really want to work with us. And that's why they jump out at you. And that's why you think of them. And if you really set an intention, your cards can really like do things for you.
Yeah.
So as I was writing this and like in the deeps of it, I made the intention with this deck to find because I was adopted, to find my
Hmm.
biological family.
Oh, okay.
And I did.
No,
Like,
you,
I
wow.
100% stand, like, if I wasn't a tarot stand before, I mean, I
Yeah.
was, but like, oh my God,
That just kind of sealed the deal right there.
it sealed it like a beautiful Christmas present. Like, it was the
Yeah.
it was the
Oh
most
my gosh.
fulfilling,
Yeah.
wonderful aspect of that. Like, literally, I'll never forget creating this deck, because in the creation of this deck, I literally found half of my family. Like, I found all of my
Wow.
Nigerian roots. I found my grandmother, I found my father, I found my cousin, my
Oh my
sister, like
goodness.
an entire side of my family that I had no idea, because I was adopted.
Wow.
And like, I know, Kay,
That's
it's crazy.
That's so amazing. Yeah, like can you, I mean, if you don't mind sharing just how that
Yeah,
went and like
yeah.
how that is. I love to hear that. That's
It's
amazing.
100%. And it's such a beautiful, like, it comes back to my mom. Like, my mom, the woman who raised me, adopted me
Mhm.
when I was 2 days old, and she
Oh,
knew she knew my biological mother, and they
oh,
spoke
okay.
throughout my entire life. They had a really close relationship. And it was one of those situations where it was like, I can't have another child. I need someone to raise this child. So that was my mom, Joyce.
Mhm.
And so my whole life, I grew up and I didn't really know who my father's side of the family was. I didn't know a name. I didn't know an ethnicity. I literally knew nothing,
Wow.
absolutely nothing. So I was like, okay, I guess I have to do a DNA test, and that's how I'll find out like
Mhm.
what half of me is.
Yeah.
Um, so I did a DNA test, and this is one of those things, like, my DNA went missing, and I was like, where is my results? And they were like, oh, we don't know. Here's
That's
another
so
test.
crazy. What?
And I was like, my brother, there was a running joke in my family from my brother. He was like, I'm pretty sure you're just like a mutant or an X-Men, because we don't know who you are, just
Maggie's just an alien. It's fine.
so when my DNA went missing, my brother was like, yep, yep, yep.
Oh, you probably had a field day with that.
Oh, he loved it. He was like, this is hilarious. He's like, one, that's really weird, but two, I told you so. And
I
so
love it.
that happened. And then I was like, oh, okay, so that delayed it. And I, did it again, did the swab. This was 2015. I did the
Yeah.
swab and I sent it back. And another like 6 to 8 weeks had passed. Well, during that time, my adopted mother, her health started really to decline, and we put her into a nursing home.
Oh, wow.
And the day that I got the results from the DNA, it was called Family Tree DNA. It was through
Mm-hmm.
Ancestry.com. The
Yes.
day
Yep.
I got the results, the woman who raised me transitioned into non-physical and passed away. And
Wow.
I was like, of course, who was I going to call and be like, oh my God, I just found out? It was
Mm-hmm.
her. So I was like, wow, okay, when one door closes, like another just like swings wide open.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I knew in that day, I was like, maybe this is how I'm going to find out who my family is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like in all this data, that's what I'm going to find. So
Mm-hmm.
I went through all the data, like 800 entries. It tells you who your possible cousins are, from
Yes.
like second to fourth cousins and then third to fifth cousins. So I was like, all right, I'm going to look in these second to fourth cousins and I'm going to see who has paternal DNA markers of over 70%, because that would show that they're Black,
Yeah.
that they are on my father's side of the family.
Okay.
So I did that, and I like it. Thank goodness for this database because it had their emails in it. So I
Yeah.
just
Right.
contacted like 17 different people and I was like, hey, this is my story. I don't know if you'll know who I am, but here's what I know. Does this sound familiar to you? And
Mm-hmm.
one woman emailed me back and she was like, I am positive that you're my uncle's daughter. Like,
Oh my
I'm positive about it. And then she's like, can you send me
God.
pictures of yourself? And she was like, she's like, that side of the family has really dominant eyes. She's like, I say that their top and their bottom lids are really pronounced. Can you send
Mm-hmm.
me a
Mm-hmm.
photo of you? So I sent her photos of me and my kids, and she sent me photos back of her sister, her uncle, her grandmother, and like my dad. And she was like, so what I did is I was like, okay, I grew up with a brother. My brother Tony was adopted. He wasn't adopted. He was my adopted mom's son.
Okay.
So he was 5 years older than me. So I was like, the only person that's going to be alive that could possibly tell me if they've seen this person is my brother Tony.
Oh
So I
wow. Okay.
sent him, and he was only 5 years old when I was born. So I was
Right.
like,
Right.
here's a shot in the dark. I send him a photo of one of the photos that she sent me. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, does this man look familiar to you? And he was like, at first he was like, no, but then within like, that string of text messages that someone has when they like have an epiphany. And
Right.
he was like, no, oh my God, wait, oh shit,
Oh my
that's your dad. I remember him. He would be singing in our house, and he told me like certain songs that he would be singing all the time. And
Oh
he
my
said
God.
something like he would rearrange the lyrics and make them like cutesy and funny. So I screenshotted that and I sent it to this woman, Danielle, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is what my adopted brother said. And she was like, that's definitely Uncle Jeff. She's
Oh
like,
my
he's
God.
always singing those songs. He was always doing this. And like, it was incredible. Like we connected
Yeah.
to my sister first, and I connected with my sister Nicole,
Mm-hmm.
and she like they all live in Indiana where I was born,
Okay.
and everyone is still there, like
Wow.
even my grandmother. So like knowing that I was
That's so crazy.
making this like deck and connecting with these African oracles and gods and goddesses and
Right.
being like, I know that I have a part of this ancestry. I know that I'm a part of this. Like, where is it? Working with the tarot is what literally brought my family back into my life. Like
Wow.
it's incredible.
That's pretty amazing. Like you should write a book about that.
I, maybe
Like
that'll
that.
be the next one. Like,
Yes, that is so awesome. Wow. Like so that just must have been like it's like so full circle sounding too.
yeah, it's
You know?
so
Like
full circle.
wow.
Like
Wow.
I looked
Now
up the other day and I found that my deck was in Walmart, and I was like, my mom would lose her mind. Like she would lose her actual mind to
did she
see
love
that the
Walmart?
Walmart, well, that was all we had in like
Right.
small town Tennessee. And being
Yeah.
in small town Tennessee and being super religious, like
Right.
why would there be a tarot deck in the Walmart?
Oh
Like
my God.
that's shocking. So
I
I'm
love that.
so
I feel like
shocked.
too, that was like it's like her sign of like letting you know that she sees what's going on. That's what I feel like for that.
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
You're gonna make me cry. Like,
But
oh,
yeah,
it's
so
good cry.
for
It's a
sure,
good
like as
happy.
soon as you said that, that's what I thought of. So
Oh,
that's my message
oh,
for you today.
oh, thank you so much. Oh, oh,
That's so amazing. You know what too would be so cool with this deck once it's out is doing a coloring book to go with it.
yes. Oh,
Right? Like, do you
yes.
see those coloring books
Yes.
that have come out, and you're supposed to only color them when you're high? And
Yeah.
yes, like
Yeah.
you need a book like that for your oracle deck.
I think that would be a great idea.
Right?
I think that's such a good idea. That would be so fun.
That would
That
be
would be
so much
so,
fun.
and
Like,
it would
I
be,
love it.
what about, remember those scratch and smell like stickers? If they could
Oh
be
no,
like the terpene smells of
yes!
cannabis, how cool would
Like
that be?
all the different ones. Yes. Oh my god. We're creating a whole new thing right now. It's happening.
I love it.
Would be so much fun. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, see, New York is slowly getting there. It's not fully on board just yet, but it is
Yeah.
slowly getting there.
And it's happening pretty quickly too. Like
Yeah.
it's happening fast. It's happening like I listened to the news, and a lot of the news is talking about how New York is really just like
Yeah.
jumping on it and being like, just moving forward and really getting it in place. But the industry is still one of those, like, I like to say that it's very young, but in like
Hmm.
human years, it's still a toddler, even though we've been, doing all these things and passing all these laws. And, even
Right.
California has had legal cannabis since 1995. Like medical cannabis became
Yeah.
legal in California in 1995. But you see where we are in 2022. So we're still dealing with
Yeah.
like an actual toddler of an industry. It's like a year. It's like in human aspects, it's the cannabis industry ages like a dog.
It is.
Like
Right. Right.
backwards.
Yeah. It's got like
Every
dog years
seven
and human
years is
years.
really
Yeah.
1 year.
That is so true. Now, when you were in Colorado, is that when you worked with the cultivating spirits, or do you work with them now? Like, can
Yeah.
you tell us about that? Because I was looking on there and
Yes.
that is super cool looking.
Yes. So cultivating spirits is something that is super close and dear to my heart, because that is where I met, when I was working with the wedding event guide, I met a man named Philip Wolf. And
Okay.
he is the founder of Cultivating Spirits. And he is one of the first cannabis sommeliers. So he basically has gone through training that's like being a wine sommelier, but for
Right.
cannabis, so that you learn all these different terpenes of cannabis. And terpenes are just, terpenes are what make food taste good. Terpenes are,
Mhm.
those are the things that elicit the actions that we get from cannabis. So we at Cultivating Spirits, and I meet with Philip every week, and we're actually
Okay.
training to do a new cannabis certification and cannabis stewardship called Kashom, and it's going to
Oh,
be available for everybody next, actually this month on the
oh my
22nd.
God.
It's called Kashom, Cashom,
Uh-huh.
and it's cannabis stewardship. And we basically, like, what we would do with Cultivating Spirits is we would have private dinners or private parties for people where we would have a chef, a cannabis sommelier
Hmm.
come in, and the chef and the cannabis sommelier would work together to make a menu that paired food from like the terpenes from food with the terpenes from cannabis. So you
Okay.
weren't getting an infused meal to where you're like, I don't know how much I'm about to eat. You
Right.
would eat and then you would smoke,
Got
so
it.
that you were in control of how much you're actually consuming.
Okay.
And you're getting this like shamanic experience where we're guiding you through how to connect with the plant, how to use the plant, how to grind up the plant, how to tell if the
Mhm.
plant's been grown correctly, really bringing in this like spiritual relationship with cannabis so that
Mhm.
you can understand how cannabis is going to work with you before you even inhale or take it in or anything.
Wow.
Um, and then you get to like eat with that. So you really get like for me, my favorite food to smell is like one of my childhood favorites is biscuits and gravy. because that's what my grandma would make all the
Right.
time. So I was like, it's like having that sensation of knowing you really like food and the certain terpenes that are in that food, and then going and finding the cannabis that matches with that so that you will know what strains of weed you'll like. So
Oh,
you,
wow.
right? I was like,
Yeah,
oh my
that's
God,
super
this is
cool.
so cool.
Yeah, that is. And I love too that it's like organized. It's not all thrown together. And I think
Yeah.
that is what people need to know too. Like people who are in the cannabis, they are doing a lot of work and a lot of
Yeah.
studying and a lot of research and a lot of like all of these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not just like, hanging out, just smoking away. They're,
Right.
actually
Like
researching.
the vibe of stoner culture is not the actual vibe of
Hmm.
the community.
Right.
Um, the whole like Cheech and Chong aspect, and
Right.
even, it's just, it's not that anymore. We're educated, we're consumers, we're entrepreneurs, we're business women. Like
Yeah.
there are more women coming into cannabis than any other industry right now because they see the freedom. You can be a content creator, you can be an influencer, you can be an
Hmm.
executive, you can be, a bud tender, or like the milieu of things that you can do is just really huge, and you have more freedom to do them than you really do in any other industry. So like another big thing is like there are a lot of uh different types of bodies featured in this deck, and that's what I wanted every body to be
Hmm.
able to be seen.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the biggest intention, was really making this deck available so that if anybody picked up the deck, they'd be like, wow, I can see myself in there. Like
Right.
one of the oracles doesn't even have, he has one leg and one arm.
Hmm.
And he is like standing, or he's sitting in this beautiful forest, and like his his medicine is balance. Is like, you can, no
Okay.
matter what's happening on the outside, or even
Right.
what your soul is encapsulated in, your physical being, you still can find balance. And like
Right.
this, just the layers of symbolism, and just it's been so fun to create this. It's been so fun to create this deck, and I could not have imagined, like, the team at Liminal is just like the absolute. I don't want to work with anybody else. Like, they're my
That's
absolute
awesome.
favorite.
No,
Like,
I love that. And
yeah.
it's hard to try to include like everyone in your deck, because I'm doing the same thing. And I keep
Yeah.
telling my artists, like, okay, I can't forget. We got to make sure. And I keep going through, and it's like I'm so worried I'm gonna like forget someone, and it's like I'm just trying
Right.
to like get everybody in there just so that mine's a little bit different too. Mine's much more like it has to do with like space pirates and stuff and space and everything. So it's very,
Stop.
yeah, it's
That's
very just
so
it's
cool.
got like gods and goddesses in it and everything. So there's a lot of like people in the deck. So I'm trying to like kind of get a little bit of everybody in. So I totally relate to what you are mean by that. Like just trying to get those like relatable like people in there. And it
Yeah.
is. It's definitely it's important to me too. That's something that I keep just like repeating it because I'm afraid I'm gonna forget. Because there's so many
You're
other
gonna
things
be
to
so excited. You're gonna love this deck so much. There's literally like a space mermaid, a
do.
galactic
Love
space
it. I
mermaid,
can't
and
wait.
she's in outer space, and her
Mm-hmm.
mermaid tail is surrounded by like galaxies and stars, and
Oh my
it's a
god.
cannabis plant. Like,
Oh
her
my god.
tail morphs into a plant, and she's like
Yeah,
a galactic mermaid. Like, literally,
I
that's what
love it.
she is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. It's
When you said
amazing.
space pirates, I was like,
See,
I'm done. That
it's
is
there. We're there.
so
It's
cool.
just all going together. We're gonna have a dinner party and play with our decks. That's what we're gonna do.
That's exactly what we're gonna do.
I think it's perfect.
That is that is a brilliant idea. And like, I'm 100% down to do that. Like, I'll be in New York in May, but the deck comes out in July. But I
Yeah,
think that would be so much fun to
that would be
do, like a tarot dinner. Like,
yeah,
I've never been to something like that. I think
right.
that
That
would
would be
be
fun.
fun.
I think so too. That would be really cool. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. No. And I. I want to come have one of those dinner parties. Like, I'm like making all plans now. I'm like, all right, what am I doing first?
Yes. So I
No,
want to
but
have I've had like ideas and I want to have like a launch party here in Los
mhm,
Angeles. And I think that like, and I've like kind of just thought about it, but like I'm so excited. I want there to be like a full immersive experience, into this deck as like
oh
at
my,
an actual party. So I'm excited to see what
yeah,
comes forward because the team at Liminal and the team at Union are just like it. You'd think that I don't even know. Like I'm a big Abraham Hicks listener, and
hmm,
she says like when you're in alignment, things happen just so quickly and so
right,
fast that it doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't make
right.
sense how this deck has. I had my first meeting with Liminal on January 11th of
Hmm.
2021,
Oh
and
wow,
now this deck
and
is
here you
like,
are,
and here we are.
and
Like
here
it
you
feels
are.
like this year has gone by like this, and just like at first it was just an idea and a concept, and then before we knew it, every time Edge would show us what she had done, we would all just be like, Ugh.
That is so awesome. Yeah, no, I know. I'm definitely excited to dive into it, into the guidebook and just all of it and do the big review on it. That's what I want to do. So I think,
Ooh, I'm so
and
excited.
it's really cool too because everyone at Liminal that I've been when I'm talking to, even just getting the setup, have been so wonderful.
They're
So
great.
I can definitely see how you're really having a good time working with them. That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
excited for you. That's really fun. I'm excited to see what comes out of it too. Like it's
Yes.
stickers and coloring book. We need
Yeah.
those.
We have ideas. We have ideas. We have ideas
Things
for a
happening.
coloring book. We have
Yeah.
ideas for
Tarot
like
dinners, all sorts of
tarot
stuff.
dinners,
Yeah.
right? We'll
Yeah.
just,
This was
it's
really just
time
like
to go to London.
yeah, this was like our planning meeting. Actually, we just kind of let everybody in on it. That's really what's happening here. I love it. I love it. So, do you have anything else kind of brewing right now? Or are you just leading up to the outpouring of the metaphysical oracle, cannabis oracle? Like, what do you have going on next?
So right now I've created like I've got like a tarot club where I've basically like we have like a private server on Discord and we'll talk about the deck. Like we had a meeting last month and I talked about one of the cards in the deck, and the person who is immortalized was in the Discord channel with us.
Okay.
So it was really nice to like have that person be there and speak to them about their card, and then basically get to show what they do. Like this person, his name is Jamie, and
Mm-hmm.
he has a brand called the Tranibus, like Tranibus, because he's trans and he
Yeah.
works with cannabis,
Oh,
and
that's
like
so clever.
he made this word up, and it's
That's so
incredible.
clever.
And he does like he combines cannabis and Tai Chi and cooking, and just like is this amazing being.
Yeah.
So like I basically got this little like tarot club where you can come in and we talk about it, and as things come out, as things are released, I'll like speak about them and talk about them and kind of give a background on more about the deck and everything.
Right.
um but I mean, for the most part, it's just like it's the deck. It's getting excited
Yeah.
for the deck. It's, planning, because I definitely like I've never been to London, but I'm obsessed. I like
Yes.
wanna, I'm definitely I wanna like it feels like I've met the team that I've known this team for years, but we've never met in person.
Right, right, right. No, that's fantastic. I love that. I want to. Kay said we could go to London, so I'm
Let's
gonna
do
hop on
it.
your coattails because we got
Yes.
stickers to plan on the way. That's why.
Yeah. I'm so excited. Like
No,
I
that is
literally
so
cannot wait.
amazing. So yeah, if somebody wants to be a part of the tarot club, how do they do that?
So you can follow in my Instagram bio. There is
Mm-hmm.
a link there, and
Okay,
everything is in that link.
got
My
it.
website, the tarot club, how to pre-order the deck in any way that you want,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll have soon we'll have the direct purchase link from Liminal so that people can support Liminal directly. because that, I mean, I love that you can pre-order it and that's great and
Yeah.
all, but like supporting Liminal and supporting the team is really just like the most beautiful way that you can support this deck,
Right.
and support me, is because this team has really made it the most incredible experience. It's been so fun to create this, and I've got so much stuff up my sleeve to bring
Yay.
along with this and to just expand it even more.
Mhm.
So
Oh, that's
so
so
yeah, the
exciting.
link in my Instagram bio is where all the juice is.
Got it. Yeah. I want to join the tarot club. So I'm doing that when we're done. I'm doing
Yes.
it. I'm going to be in the club. That's awesome. I love that. I love it. This is so exciting for you though. And I hope that you do have like a launch party. I hope you have all the things, Maggie. Just all the things. You're getting them.
It's
Walmart. It's
happening.
going to be in Walmart and everything. Like you need
I
to go to
know.
Walmart and take a picture of it in Walmart and frame
My
it.
that's gonna heal my inner child right there.
Yes, right there, done. She's good. Off she goes. It's so
Oh.
happening. I love it. And so we are actually just about to an hour already. Like that went so fast. I'm like, wait a minute, because I looked, I'm like, oh, and I'm like, oh yeah, look at that. Okay. Oh, you're very welcome, Kay. Absolutely.
Thank
We
you,
love you guys
Kay.
at Liminal. Absolutely.
Yes.
And everybody too, when you pre-order and you get it, also make sure to review it. Because
Yeah.
reviews are so important to authors and creators, and it really
Mhm.
helps them. It helps just marketing. It helps all the things to help make them a little bit more successful and push out more. And then they know how many more to make. If everyone's loving it, you got to
Yeah.
tell them so they know, right? So they can make more
Yeah. And
and
it's a
share.
bestseller. Everybody that has bought the deck already is so incredible. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who even has the intention to buy the deck, because that is propelling everything forward. Right now on Amazon, since the deck became live on pre-order, it's been in 3 bestseller categories and it hasn't fallen off.
That's
So like
fantastic.
that is just wonderful. It makes me so excited. It's like we're Liminal has had the #1 tarot deck on the Amazon bestseller for over a year, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
Modern Witch.
Yep.
So when I pitched them, I was like, we're gonna have 1, 2, and 3. That's gonna be
That's
us,
right.
Liminal 11, taking over the Amazon bestseller list, and
Absolutely. I think you
it's
are in very
peaked.
good hands.
We're doing it. We're gonna do it. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to you, and I'm so grateful to Cardmancer Magazine for taking the time to talk with me and just like
No, it's been
just
awesome.
being who you are. Thank you so much for holding this space and,
Yes.
creating something to where we can. Oh, almost died.
Oh, almost. Okay. We were close.
But thank you. Thank
Yes.
you so much. And thank you to the team at Liminal. Thank you,
Yes.
Kay, and thank you, Darren. We are going to crush it.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so excited to watch, and I definitely will be watching and keeping tabs on you, and hopefully have you on again to chat, because we had so much fun.
Absolutely.
And then, like I said, we have things to create, so we're just going to create all the things.
It's
That's where
happening.
we had a total like staff meeting that we didn't even know that we needed. You're very welcome though. I'm really
Thank
excited for
you.
you, and I love seeing this for you. It makes me happy. And everybody, thanks for joining us. If you're on the replay, if you have any questions, go ahead and post your questions, and I will go ahead and tag Maggie or answer them if I can for you. And be sure to head over to Liminal 11 and pre-order the deck and check it out and everything else that they have there, because everything they have is awesome there.
Yeah, just sign up for the
So,
Liminal
yeah.
newsletter. You will not be disappointed.
Yes,
Get
that
that
I am.
newsletter in your email, because there are just
Yeah.
gems coming out.
Mm-hmm. No,
100%.
you're welcome, Darren. Yeah, no, absolutely. There is just so many things and it's so funny because I have 2 Liminal 11 decks on my desk right now.
I'm
Like
looking up too as
yeah,
well.
I have the Seed and Sickle, and then I have the Mystic Medley sitting there. So it's there.
Seed
It's
and
here. It's a
Sickle
vibe. It's a vibe.
and Cosmic Slumber are the 2 that are right in front of me. I love the Seed and Sickle. Come on, Fez.
Yes,
That
and
deck is
no, it
incredible.
is.
Oh,
It's It is, and Mystical Medley is so much fun. I was
Oh, I
using
love
that. I
mystical
was using
medleys too.
that for my live the other on Mondays. I do a live here,
Yes.
and I was using that for my live too. So we have it all over the place. It's a vibe. It's happening. But
That one
thank you.
sits in my living room. It
Yes,
sits in my living room for people to buy because everyone loves to pick that mystical medleys up.
I
It's so
know.
attractive. It's
It is.
so.
It's so much fun
Oof.
too. And it's very blunt though. Like you want
That's
to know
why I
what's up?
love
It's
it.
like, oh hey, you think I'm cute? Let's get down to business.
Love it.
Totally, totally. But I hope you have a fantastic day. And like you said, we'll talk again soon. Thank you, Lemon 11. Thank you, Cartomancer. Thank you, everybody watching. And you have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much,
All
Jen.
right.
It was
Okay.
wonderful.
Bye.